Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are going to be planting 4 beautiful different varieties of perennial, all of which like full to part sun. This is a beautiful collection right here. We've got white, pink, purple, and kind of a lighter pinkish purple right here. And here are the tags. We've got the Magic Show Wizard of Oz Veronica, Luminary Backlight Phlox, Firefly Fuchsia, Yarrow, and the Carmina Geranium. And I have experience growing all 4 of these varieties. We have them in different spots of the garden. They're just 4 solid varieties that I highly recommend. Now we're going to start here on the west side. I know I want to plant the phlox over here, possibly the geraniums, but I'd like to walk you down the pathway first to show you what it looks like after the first perennial cutback. Because you know, in May, like mid-May, it's kind of the peak season for perennials. Everything's looking fresh and beautiful, fresh blooms. And then toward the end of June here, we've done our first perennial shear back. So we've sheared back salvia, nepeta, lady's mantle, that sort of thing, those things that were really full and gorgeous in May. And it can be a little bit of a sad time, especially when you're very first starting out a border. A lot of times that eliminates so much of your color, but I feel like things are still looking pretty, even though we've got some holes and we've got things shorn back. Working on that to make sure that you've got pretty things at all points of the year can take a little while. And it's clear, you'll see as we walk down, that there's room for improvement, but I feel like we've come so far. So as we initially come into this bed, you'll notice we have this area that's like, oh, full morning sun, but then it's in a kind of a shade situation for the rest of the day. I do want to add some probably heuchera, which I do not have on hand. See how we've added some of the wild berry in here. It's got that beautiful purple foliage. I think adding more in this space will be beautiful. The echinacea are still doing it though, like it's enough sun to keep them happy for now. We've done nepeta cutback. In the spring, you guys, this whole section, there's nepeta, lady's mantle, salvia. It's absolutely beautiful, but we've got some other beautiful things. I love the foliage here of the iris. We've got some Royal Jubilee David Austins, which I just deadheaded last night. That's the other thing. All of our roses here are going into their kind of lull period where they won't be quite as full of bloom, but still looking good. We've got some phlox right here. This is the backlight. So we've got the white phlox, and that's just coming into bloom. So just give it like maybe a couple more days and we'll start getting big color from those. So while we've, kind of eliminated color here for a couple of weeks, we'll have color fill in the gap. This is where I'm thinking of putting the phlox in today. We've got some beautiful, see, hardy geraniums. These bloomed early on this season, and then you just come along and you pull their bloom stalk. You can just pull it out. You don't even have to cut them off. And they're these beautiful, lush looking canopies. You don't have to cut them all the way back. We've got some, is it Pink Potion Veronica here looking amazing. This is the Little Missy Sedum right here. We've got some late season color, Caryopteris, that will come into bloom later on. Let's see, nepeta cutback right here, and it's already fleshing back with some nice color. We've got another spot, probably won't put the phlox here. We'll wait for something different because we've got another pink phlox right here. We've got a Glow Girl Spirea, more iris foliage, maybe more buddleia in this area would be good. That's a Miss Violet, and I really like it here. We've got some other hardy geraniums in here. We had more purple Veronica, and honestly could use some more over here. This is where it really starts getting nice and full. We've got some Betony looking great. We've got some Opalescence Phlox looking awesome. Midnight Masquerade Penstemon right here, already bloomed this spring. I tend to like to leave the bloom stalks, and they will eventually, like all of these spent blooms, will fall off the bloom stalks, and then they'll look like this for the rest of the season, just shiny burgundy little seed pods. And I think they're really an interesting texture. A variegated ajuga down here. We've got a Brandywine Viburnum that's just finishing up its bloom. Drops of Jupiter Oregano. We've got some Stand By Me Clematis that took a little bit of a beating. We had some pretty heavy rain the other night and it kind of like hit it down. I need to get some higher supports, I think. We've also got some thrift in here. Look at our button bush. This thing's supposed to be 4 feet by 4 feet. And you guys, I am 5'4". I'm gonna stand right next to the trunk. See how high it is? I'm 5'4". I'm standing right by the base of the plant. It's like over 6 feet tall. So while I thought it was gonna be an appropriately sized shrub for this area, it really isn't. But it's doing so well, I don't really have the heart to take it out. I look at these blooms, they are so cool. And I love the shiny leaves. I think that those bring a richness and a lushness to an area, especially if you live in a dry climate. Getting some luster, things that have luster on their leaves is so great. But right in here, we've also got another Caryopteris, which will provide some great blue late season color. I just went through last night, cut back all of our Mary Rose David Austins, and those will be blooming pink here soon. But just at a glance, like, it's super full and there's a lot of good texture in here. And then toward the end, we've got some ground cover Campanula that's still got some purple on it. I cut back Salvia here. Actually, we did that together along with some Verbascum the other day. We'll have some Limelight Hydrangea blooms here soon. White Yarrow. A lot of this is still from our moon garden days when we were trying that out. We've got the, something diamond maybe, Yarrow. I love it. It's not invasive. It does not spread. The Daisy May daisies are just stunning. Stunning. My word. White Wands of Veronica right in here. That'll need to be shorn back here soon. And then lamb's ear and some grasses and such. So anyway, I just figured before we started in with our planting, I wanted to give you just a snapshot, a little look at this area after first perennial cutback. And how there are some things that are beautiful that kind of take up that second shift of color. Would love to add more betony in for sure. Opalescence Phlox is just amazing, you guys. Such a good one. I'm just real happy with this space. It just feels, I don't know, feels like it's coming together after what, 6 years? It takes a while. And I think that it's going to always be an evolving process too, because, you know, things are changing with these great big red point maples. Soon, I am not going to be able to have full sun things in here. And right now I can get away with it because in between the maples, there's still areas like this one that I kind of want to plant in today. They still get a lot of sun. So for, you know, a few more years, it's going to be a sunny spot. But eventually with the growth of our North Pole arborvitaes, which are phenomenal, and the growth of our red point maples, this is going to be like hostaland. I can't wait. So we'll just be making a slow evolving change when it comes to a sun to shade garden. And I feel like it's going to be that way in a lot of spots in our garden. We've planted so many trees through these last few years that eventually we're going to have to carve out more spot for sun-loving stuff. But let's take a closer look here at the flowers. Look at these Wizard of Oz Veronica. I just love the color. I think they're so, so pretty. And they don't get enormous, which is nice. So they make a good kind of edge of the border plant if you want them to be 14 to 16 inches tall, and they spread out about, I don't know, 2 feet or so. So they'll just not spread, but, you know, kind of clump out. And they are a zone 4 through 8 and are kind of like a mid-summer to late summer bloomer. And then the Luminary Backlight. I've always been a huge phlox fan, probably because it was one of my mom's favorites in the garden growing up. She had the older variety, the David phlox, which grows a lot taller than this one. I want to say this one grows about 30 inches. Let me look at the tag. Yeah, 28 to 30 inches and spreads out 2 feet. The older varieties tended to want to flop a little bit more, like they could use support, and they would get powdery mildew more. And these are really resistant to powdery mildew. Still a good idea to give them a little space, make sure that they've got airflow around them, but they don't succumb to that like the older varieties do. And we don't deal with powdery mildew on many things here, but we did with phlox, and these don't seem to be afflicted. And these bloom mid to late summer. So these will pick up kind of the bloom shift after that first flush of perennials, and then we'll go through the rest of the season, which is wonderful. And they kind of just like keep blooming down the stalk, which is fun. Zone 3 through 8 on this one. And then we've got the Firefly Fuchsia Yarrow. Isn't that a beautiful, just bright, clear pink? I just think they are so pretty. Now, just like the white one that we looked at down on the end of the west side there, these do not spread like some of the yarrows, like wild yarrows. They just kind of clump out at the base. They just spread at the base, but they don't send out runners. Believe me, I know, because we deal with the kind of native wild white yarrow weed around here. And I used to have to help my dad with that in the pasture, thistles and yarrow. And that stuff would spread, but this does not. So I've had experience with both. Cool thing about yarrow is that it can take crummy soil. It can take drought once it's been established. It's just a really tough perennial. And, you know, kind of unlike this one. This one, as the blooms fade, I do want to come in and kind of clean them up. These, I like the look of the blooms even when they're faded. They kind of just get a lighter pink color and then they dry beautifully. They're a really great flower as a dried accent in arrangements. But these grow about 2 feet tall and about that wide, maybe a little bit wider than that. And they'll bloom from early summer through late summer into fall. And they're one of those types, if you want to leave them up for the winter, kind of like sedum. They're usually pretty strong. They have strong stems and can hold up to at least a little bit of snow, a little bit of frost, and they do look pretty. And then the Carmina hardy geranium, which we just planted some right here. In fact, I can give you a little look at how they're doing. These that I planted were a little bit bigger. They were in gallon-sized containers. You can see them. I kind of dotted them through here because I want them to sort of fill in and naturalize. I also planted more Carmina right here. I planted this earlier on this spring, had a different shifts of Carmina, and then I've got more established Carmina down here. I need to take after this bed. That was actually kind of on my list for today. And then we got in a new load of perennials and shrubs, and I just can't help myself. I got to plant them when they look so pretty. These are older Carminas right here. So I want to say I planted these 2 years ago, planted them at the base of these gorgeous hostas. This is an Empress Wu. This is a Wu La La right here. And you can see that they've kind of helped themselves to the walkway here. They're supposed to grow about 12 inches tall by about 1.5 feet wide. So look at this. This is how easy it is to deadhead them. You just pull the stems. You don't want to grab too big of a handful because it might pull the base of a plant out. I've done that before too. And you can go in and painstakingly cut them off, but I don't like to do that. If I can make it easy and just pull them out like this to clean it up, oh, so nice. And look at that. You're just left with this beautiful canopy. There we go. Beautiful canopy. I just need to do that on like everything else in this bed. I also need to bring in a hose and hose it all down. It's so dusty right now. I was kind of waiting until these dried up. These are the pink picotee columbine. Let me pick just one of these seed pods for you. Show you how many seeds are in this. Can you hear it? I'm trying to put it close to my mic. Okay, check this out. Look at all those seeds. Isn't that nuts? Isn't that nuts, Russell? There, maybe we'll have some come up right here. Okay, so that is the plan for today, is just to get all of these things in the ground. Let me show you what the first one's gonna kind of look like here. Oh, yeah. So grouping of those through here, so nice. One other thing about the west side is that I'm going with pinks, purples, chartreuse, and white. And I'm not worrying about varying the leaf color. Typically in other areas, I try to work in red, leaf color, maybe a little bit of yellow variegation. I do have some yellow variegation at the very end here, and a little bit of red at the very end here. Instant Karma elderberry and a red obelisk beech. But largely through here, I'm playing mostly with green in different textures. So we've got, the strappier, grassy leaf texture. We've got a little bit more boldness with our geraniums, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's plant. All right, the white phlox are in. They look so pretty, and just imagine when they get taller. So they'll maybe match the height of the Midnight Masquerade right in there, possibly a tiny bit taller. I mean, you can see the other two. I kind of love that we now have another patch right here or another drift of them. So we have a little bit of a continuous idea through this bed. I've tried to do that with several of the varieties in here, the Nepeta, the Lady's Mantle, and the Salvia, and the Iris. I've tried to have in multiple locations down this whole border. I think that brings a sense of cohesion and peace instead of having everything be different. But right in front of the phlox, we've got Stokes asters. So these will come up and bloom beautiful purple later on this summer. So we'll have the white background. The Stokes asters are shorter, so have a nice step down. And then we've got the beautiful hardy geraniums, which these color beautifully in the fall. The leaves will turn a nice red color. It's just a beautiful mix. I was thinking originally of popping the Carmina geraniums in right here, but I'm not sure that I want to do that. I don't have enough space at the front of the borders in any one area to do that. So I think we're gonna head out to the south garden next. Ooh, you know what? Purple Veronica tucked in right here would be beautiful because it's mirrored right here. Or this is the purple illusion. Close, close enough. See? Wizard of Oz, this is a good, I guess, side by side. Wizard of Oz is more of a blue purple, and the purple illusion is a little bit more of a pink purple. Wouldn't these look pretty though? Filling in this space that needs something. They look gorgeous with the, this is Supreme Cantaloupe Echinacea right here. Yeah, I think that's nice. Ooh, got some sedum right here that's got aphids. Need to take care of that. And there they are all planted. Don't they look beautiful in this spot? Oh, I love that purple with the peachy color of the echinacea. And this right here is Phlomis. I think it's the botanical name. I can't remember the common name. Anyway, it already bloomed and it comes up with these really interesting blooms. You can see the petals right here, and they're kind of a lighter, like buttery yellow. But I like the way they look even after they're done blooming. I think they're really interesting. We've got a firelight hydrangea here. The random Vista bubblegum popped in. But a couple of housekeeping things before we head to the next planting area. And I've been trying my best not to put off the housekeeping things like the aphids that need to be sprayed right here, or the thrift that needed to be cut back. I try to do as much of that in the spot I'm working in as possible so that I don't have to. Well, a lot of times I try to add it to the mental list and then it gets forgotten and things get worse and such. So anyway, I'm going to tackle these. I went ahead and cleaned up the thrift. There were a bunch of spent blooms there. Now it looks nice. And I'm going to go ahead and spray our sedum. So if you get in there, you can see all of the aphids. They're really concentrated at the tips of the stems here. Can't remember exactly what variety this is, but I just didn't realize that they had aphids. No wonder they are looking kind of weird. So I went and grabbed some just RTU, the ready to use neem right here. And we are just going to spray the sedum like this. So you just want to spray to the point of runoff. Just try to make sure you hit as much of that surface area as you can. And this is nice because these plants are not in bloom, so we don't really need to worry about pollinators here. And I can get really close to the plant so I'm not getting it on any of the blooms that are nearby. There we go. Got that all taken care of. So we're ready to move on to the next spot. We've got 2 more perennials to plant. These would look beautiful right here. Don't you think? We've got in this spot on the far side of the south garden some double pink echinacea that I don't remember the name. I think that the word raspberry's in there somewhere possibly, but they're looking real pretty. We've got some Niagara Falls panicum. There's a Miss Violet buddleia, Queen Nectarine agastaki. There's a Caryopteris in here, Yellow Brick Road sedum. So having something short right in here that can produce some summer color that's a little bit more on the purple side would be really nice. Isn't that a pretty combination? And it looks pretty with the yellow too. All right, here we go. Geraniums are in and looking pretty. We've got lots of geraniums out here, like the big drift of blue right there. So there are a lot of different varieties, some of which get really big, and some stay more petite like this variety, which is so nice for the edge of a border. Now, I did go ahead and check the sedum over here for aphids, because I thought, well, if the other variety had it, maybe this does too, but these look so healthy and happy, and no signs of aphids anywhere, so we're not going to spray those. I'll pull the grass though. And can we just take a second and marvel at this panicum? Oh, isn't that just the prettiest structure? And color too, I just love them. And a closer look at this geranium right here. Isn't that gorgeous? I don't know if you can see all of the honeybees, but the pollinators just absolutely love this perennial. Beautiful. Okay, I think I'd like to take the yarrow over to the pond. I think this is going to work out perfectly. After I set down 5 of the pink yarrow, which I really like that color in here, I thought it needed something else to kind of set it off a little bit, and something between it and the Arctic Fire dogwoods, which are right behind. So I ran back to the high tunnel and I grabbed this Niagara Falls panicum like the ones we just looked at. Oh, there's a hummingbird. Hang on. Do you see it? It's on the salvia. My goodness, I get distracted easily. Anyway, this Niagara Falls came out of one of the east fence line pots when we had them on the fence line. And I had planted that grass surrounded by 5 of the Supertunia Hoopla Vivid Orchid, and it was a gorgeous container. It performed beautifully. And I usually try to get multiple uses if I'm using a perennial or a shrub in a container. Once it's done in the container, I like to plant it out somewhere, but I wasn't ready to plant it at that point. So we put it in just an empty container that we had, and it's gotten huge. It's beautiful. Look at this thing. You can get in here and see the size of container we put it in. And they're pretty late to break dormancy. I didn't know if it was actually gonna do it. I thought we maybe had lost it. And then it just started to explode with growth. So I think this is gonna be a really kind of needed texture, and it will provide a lot of bulk right here. And it will be a beautiful combination of color with the pink yarrow. So I think we'll do the 5 pink yarrow here. Once we're done planting, I might add, I've got 5 more. I might add them to this section, or I might pop them on the other side. I think this is gonna look really nice. I did end up putting the other 5 yarrow on the opposite end of the pond, which is where we're going to start right now. And I didn't plant these in as solid of a drift. I kind of separated them a little bit. I think they look really pretty. So I've got 2 behind this rock right here, and then 2 here, and then 1 back kind of tucked in by that rock, right at the top of the stream. I had initially set them in right here and then decided I needed something a little bit taller right in here. So I think breaking them up will be nice, and then I can put something else, maybe some sort of a shrub or something. I think that will be perfect. Everything's doing really well in this area too. Like all the catalpas we planted this spring, they've got color. There's what, how many in this area? 5 in this area. And then we planted all the echinacea. We dug all of that out of the cut flower garden, and it looked so bad when we planted it because it was already quite tall when we dug it. And so I did end up coming in and cutting it back. There are a couple, like this one right here and that clump right there. They're still alive. Like this one's pushing some leaves, but the others definitely made the transplant a little bit better. This is a buddleia we planted last year. This is a Tolson's weeping juniper we planted this spring. And I did come in here with some whirlwind white scaevola, that little white annual down there, and I think that looks really pretty. Also, if you can get your hands on this Nemesia, this is the Aromance Pink. Do it, buy it. It is so awesome. It has already been upwards of 100 degrees here for a few consecutive days, and it's in the full sun, and it hasn't skipped a beat. And it smells so good. I mean, it is just perfuming this whole area. And it's doing exactly what I needed it to do for this space. I want to always keep this area. Maybe I'll keep it open for an annual, much like this one. But I want to keep whatever we put here low and kind of like go in with some higher stuff on the side so that we always have a view of that waterfall. And we can take a look at that yarrow. Yeah, see that yarrow behind the stone? That looks pretty. Gosh, it's looking good. Looking good right now. The Coreopsis, I'd love to plant more of those. Look at how cheerful those are. Oh, Russian sage is coming into its own. And right down here's the other yarrow. All right. Ended up really pretty with that panicum. I really, really like it. And I'm glad that we did break up the grouping. So we have some of the same plants again, kind of like repeated throughout. And I was just realizing that I have the Niagara Falls here, and I also have one right at the entrance of the walkway on the other end. So there you go, repeat plantings. You know what, while we're here, let's walk back and take a look at the new flower bed we just put in. Such a pretty time of day right now. Like kind of late morning-ish. It's looking pretty good. Some of our scaevola had a bit of a struggle. There were like 3 or 4, the one right here at the base of the rock, and then the 2 on the end weren't quite getting the drip that they needed. And so we've rectified the situation and they're bouncing back, but that's it. Everything else is just doing really, really great. And the pulmonaria are looking good as well, as are the oak leaf hydrangeas. And you guys, that is going to do it for our projects for this morning. I just absolutely love everything that went in. I feel like they went into the right spots, like spots that were just made for that type of plant. And now I'm going to probably have to turn my attention to a little bit more maintenance. Like going along the west side and cleaning that up. I need to plant, I took the peas out, the sugar snap pole peas out last night while I was out working, and I need to replant some pole beans in that location. So we've got a little bit of that kind of stuff. I need to pull all the ranunculus and plant another crop of corn and such. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're having a great start to your day, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.